Hi, I'm Johannes Ebner.
I'm Kenneth Johnson, CTO of Piktiv.
Kenneth is here today to share his experience integrating Azure PlayFab multiplayer services, particularly crossplay, into Valheim. But before he jumps in, let's take a moment and get real about multiplayer. Players want better multiplayer. They want to quickly find other players in games and play with friends across numerous platforms and devices. While they play, they also want to communicate. As creators, we are tasked with building these seamless, low latency and cross-platform experiences. With players expecting more than ever before, an out-of-the-box solution like PlayFab can really make a difference. It's the kind of thing that lets you spend less time on engineering multiplayer services and more time on the things that make your game special. PlayFab is such an out-of-the-box solution that solves all of these problems and more. And it has been proven by some of the industry's biggest games. Let's look at some of the components. One is matchmaking, which helps players get connected to other players and find the right games. Lobby then helps group these players in a joinable session with real-time notifications and invites. Party gives players voice and text chat across platforms and devices, thanks to secure, low latency data communication, and you can use it for peer-to-peer communication as well. All of these parts integrate super well into Unreal or Unity or any other engine thanks to our ready-made SDKs across pretty much all platforms, including all major consoles, Windows, and now even Mac and Linux. Valheim, which was developed by Irongate and published by Coffee Stain, is an exploration and survival game that was inspired by Norse mythology that is best experienced with friends. Irongate wanted a true cross-platform experience for players as they expanded Valheim onto Game Pass for PC and Xbox. To tackle the challenges of adding additional platforms, Irongate turned to Piktiv for the expertise in building networked solutions for multi-platform games. Now I'd like to hand over to Piktiv CTO Kenneth Johnson, who led the team at Piktiv to integrate PlayFab into Valheim. Take it away, Kenneth.
Thank you, Johannes. As Valheim includes user-generated content like building vast villages, there is sometimes a large amount of data that must be delivered to players across the network. Our considerations for selecting the proper middleware for the task included support for Windows and Linux OSs, support for Xbox, support for Unity, both in mono runtime and IL2 CPP, a feature set that allowed implementing existing elements like in-game server browsers, API usable in the game's network model, a proven track record of already published games. We also found PlayFab to have a great documentation and it's very easy to get started. Some of the challenges associated with the task. One challenge is to connect players across platforms. We wanted a very simple method to allow players to join session across different platforms. There are several reasons why IP address and port is not a good method to locate player-hosted sessions. PlayFab uses unique IDs to identify cross-platform party networks, but we wanted to keep the ability for players and server administrators to connect to the server as if it was still using IP address and UDP port. To do this, we start tracking all game sessions as lobbies. The lobby instance includes the network ID for the session. We then added the public IP address and UDP information as search keys, so players could locate and join the lobby. This let players join cross-platform game sessions as if nothing has changed underneath versus the Steam version. Another challenge was to create a simple method to allow players to join a session across multiple platforms. We added a join code to the lobby. The join code is a 6-digit number that is guaranteed to be unique across all currently active gaming sessions and is valid as long as the session exists. The player can share the join code through Slack, Discord, text, etc. The join code resolves to the identity of the host or the server, which allow a persistent server bookmark in the game's favorite server list. All sessions usable through join codes are password protected to prevent users from guessing a join code and enter the session uninvited. Another challenge is to coordinate releases across platforms. The technical obstacles originating from differences in platform API is a problem, but it is one that can be handled with middleware like PlayFab. This leaves time to tackle the biggest challenge with any cross-platform game: coordinate releases of backward incompatible updates to the game itself. This task doesn't have a simple solution. It is therefore critical to minimize the number of these unavoidable rocks. What went well in this? One thing is support for multiple operating systems. PlayFab's cross-platform support covers multiple dimensions important for this game. It goes across multiple SDKs, JDK for Windows Store, Steamworks for Steam users. It covers multiple operating systems, Windows and Linux in this case. PlayFab also supports macOS and the mobile platforms. Console support is important, as Valheim will soon arrive on Xbox. Thanks to PlayFab Party and Unity, the game has very little platform-specific code. For example, all network-related code is the same across all platforms when using crossplay. Another thing that went well was very simple server setup, as Player Party always provides NAT punch-through via network relays. Setting up a server doesn't require any additional router configuration. It is even possible to run dedicated servers behind NAT gateways. We received very good support from the PlayFab team. There were obviously some hiccups working with this. It is to be expected in such a network-intensive game with such a large user base. Microsoft and the PlayFab team were always very helpful in our common goal to release a first-class gaming experience to Microsoft Store and Game Pass for PC. One key takeaway is that error handling is hard. Communication across packet switch network will generate all kinds of error conditions given enough time and users. Error handling is always hard. It's even harder when working with multiple middlewares that have a slightly different split of what is taken care of by the middleware and what is left to the application to deal with. The key takeaway is that you should try to stick with one selected middleware. The devil really is in the detail when it comes to error handling. Another thing is that the internet is a very heterogeneous environment. When communicating between nodes across networks, always make sure to keep track of the amount of data in flight. In-flight data is data sent but not yet processed by the receiver. Too much data in flight will increase ping or latency. The amount of data in flight may grow out of control for connections with low throughput if you have a strong sender. Tracking in-flight data end-to-end is fairly straightforward on working with network middleware that provides guaranteed delivery, like PlayFab. I want to finish off by saying a few words about us at Piktiv. We're a Swedish consultant company. Our games development service group helps game studios to port games to additional platforms. We also work as a game developer in studios that got longer to-do lists than they can handle at the moment. Piktiv has offices in Skövde, Örebro and Stockholm. Over to you, Johannes.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. If you are interested in PlayFab multiplayer for your game, keep in mind that PlayFab Party, Matchmaking and Lobby are all free during development, free for all Xbox Live logins, and free with generous limits through the ID at Azure program. For more information about PlayFab multiplayer services, check out the documentation and other resources linked below, and watch our other videos on microsoftgamedev.com. If you are an independent developer, check out the ID at Azure program at aka.ms/ID Azure, which can help you take full advantage of the cloud to build and grow your games. Thank you.